Well, that's our weight throws, our heavy throwing events, the discus, the shot put, and finally the hammer. And now to the lightest of all the throws, the men's javelin. Coach Barber, will you do the honors?
I think you can tell by the setup, our men's selection for the all-decade team for the javelin is my co-host, Kevin.
Well, as I sing my own praises, the accomplishments for Kevin McGurk in the javelin throw all-decade selection. Best mark of 48.90 meters, the second best javelin throw all time at UD. The 2019 SCAC bronze medalist, and the also bronze medalist at the 2020 Leap Day Relays, as well as also breaking my own personal record 3 times at the SCAC Championships. So, as we talk about me, we'll go ahead.
It was kind of obvious that in each of the events that you did and picked up and grew on, that there was, there's your year one, there's your learning how to hurdle, there's your learning how to throw javelin, and then distinct, obvious growth pattern year to year to year. And it's a shame, due to COVID, we didn't get to see another year of growth in the javelin based on the success that your numbers show that you saw by the end of the 2019 season. Coach Cato really helped your development a lot in the javelin, even if we didn't do it full time. You had a lot of events going on. But like you mentioned, it's the lightest of the throws. It's a lot more of an athletic, springy athleticism. There's a lot more explosion, I guess, and so you end up with different types of athletes, I guess, in the throws. And so you saw obvious growth year to year. Would have loved to see another one.
So we'll now read you my theoretical data for the men's javelin. As in the men's javelin, my PR of 48.90 meters, 160 feet 5 inches, would win JAV 4 times in 28 years. 4, 4, and 4 gold, silver, bronze, and in the decade, 7 out of 10, 3, 3, and 1 gold, silver, bronze. Average point total of 6.8 points with a median result of second and a most frequent result of first/second. And so, I only really had one real year of throwing jav. I mean, in 2018, started picking it up, just kind of fooling around. I mean, it really started in conference 2017, where, I wanted, one of my goals, which I didn't have the opportunity, lost my final opportunity to go for it, was to basically be the conference MVP. But that year, still in the learning phase, the learn, improve, and don't die season, 2017. Looking at the conference schedule, I didn't have anything going on Friday afternoon/evening. And so I had petitioned you, can I just, can you just throw me the javelin, can just do it just because? And you elected not to do that, which probably was a good idea. But I mean, for me, it would have just been I'm at this point just doing it for fun. Like, I know I'm not going to win, but like I want to try it because it looks fun. Which it's a lot of fun throwing a spear. Anyway, so it was something that we had talked about in 2017. It's like, well, maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll do it next year. And we got partway through 2018, and I brought it up again, and it was like, oh yeah, like we can start toying with javelin. And so I started working with Coach Cato and Marcos and Charles and Diana and Grace Conti and whoever else was throwing jav that season.
Will was throwing jav.
And first meet, did all right for having like 2 weeks of practice. It was at Dan Beach. I threw a shade under 30 meters. But then I think a week or two later, at the next meet, I don't remember what that meet was, but then I threw a shade under 40 meters, and it was just kind of the lightning bolt. Whoa, I've been practicing for like maybe a month, and I'm just outside of the cusp of scoring points at conference. There might be something to this event. Of course, ultimately I ended up not being successful at conference. Like the last 2 meets of the year, I wasn't able to really stick the javelin. Ended on kind of a sour note. Ended up fouling out at conference in javelin. But the next year we fixed that. Coach Cato had me change my grip from like the fastball grip to kind of the wraparound grip. And it was sticking like clockwork. Like I don't think, like, unless I just completely screwed up, it always basically stuck.
Yeah.
Progressed that season. Started off throwing over 40. Kind of stayed right there, but then at conference, it was all the pieces. It all lined up. It just everything. In the first throw, I think I threw like 44. Second throw, I threw 46. Both of those throws PRs. The next throw, and then it's 43, wasn't very good. But then the fourth throw, the first throw of the championship flight, almost 49, 48.9. And it was just one of those magical moments. Coach Cato told me, just, hey, go out there, try to have fun today. And it really helped with having fun. That very first throw, I was like, oh, I'm actually doing something. I threw it farther. And so it just all came together on that one throw, which was good enough to win the bronze medal, which, funny enough, so this is maybe easily one of the top 3 moments in my career for track and field. So Jacob Gersha, I think. No, Ryan Geiger. Ryan Geiger was the champion that year, who threw like 50.8 or something like that. And I kind of figured he was going to win. I kind of just always assumed the guy from TLU was going to win. But there were a couple of guys from Trinity who were also right there. And so when I threw my 48, I think at that point I already knew someone from Trinity had thrown 49, and then we got to, I think, the 4th or 5th throw, and I hear the field judge announce another 49. And so at that point I'm like, oh great, I just lost my medal, because at that time I knew I was in medal position. I was like, all right, well, these next couple throws we gotta get it to 49.50. We gotta make sure we get that medal back. Didn't happen. So I'm sitting there after the competition thinking, kind of down and defeated. Like, man, it would have been so cool to get a medal. Really the first season, the first real season of competing. But it then occurred to me that the other 49 was a Trinity throw, and I was thinking, well, maybe it was the same guy. So kind of brought my hopes back, and then I was down the field, down the track, working with Rashid on our handoffs for the next day for the 4x1, and they announce, they get on the speaker and they start announcing, and the final marks for the whatever for the men's javelin. In 3rd place from the University of Dallas, and as soon as they said Dallas, I just started going off, and like I couldn't believe it. I actually won a medal in this event that I've been only practicing for about 3 months, really, and it was. Long story short, it was a spectacular moment. I'm sure you remember me running down the track like, hey, get the carrot, need a picture of me. So, anyway, I'll wrap up the final thoughts about myself with some of the additional information that was withheld back during the hurdles, so as to not give away things too quickly. So in addition to the other information that we've already given you at this point, as you can see on the screen, Kevin McGurk, over 80 career total events at UD, second best all time at UD in events, and also 2 of the top 14 finishes in UD history, with the 1st and 13th of the decade by UD finishers. The best finish in the 400 hurdles, which was 54th in 2019, and in javelin, the 13th best finish of the decade, 169th, also in 2019. So, obviously, with telling the history of my javelin career, I've obviously said a lot about myself. Before we move on to our last reveal, do you have anything to add?
I don't think so. Obviously, a very different type of throwing event. Like we mentioned, a lot of growth happened from 1 month of practice for 1 year to a full 3 months, full season worth of practice the next season. Hashtag due to COVID, we didn't get to see the next year of growth, but hell of a javelin career. Maybe you can do a USATF meet.
That's true, I can. And I've already worked out with Coach Mary. At some point, we will be getting back out there, and her goal for me was around 58, 60 meters. We're gonna see postgraduate if I can still get there.
There you go.
All right, so our final reveal for the team of the decade, the women's javelin throw. Our selection for the women's javelin is Diana Hassing. Diana Hassing getting her 3rd nod on the All-Decade team. As Diana, in the javelin throw, 33.77 meters, the javelin record holder at UD, and she's only one of 2 women ever to break 100 feet, 30.49 meters all time. And also, as you can see in the footnotes on your screen, she broke the previous record by over 10 feet, a little over 3 meters. And so, as we finish talking about Diana, and we'll be talking to her later too, this was an event that she was basically forbidden to compete in by Coach Price, and she really should have won a gold medal in this event.
Yeah, it's funny. What was the theoretical? Have you done the theoretical medals for her yet?
We have not gotten there.
We don't have to do that yet.
Moment.
Point being, I'm sure she had a ton of theoretical, at least a few theoretical medals, but she obviously did not have one. She threw jab at 2 events, conference where she scratched out, and then her last chance meet chasing shot put, chasing a national spot in shot put. But we let her throw javelin because she was so good at it, the one meet that she scratched out in, that we wanted to give her a chance to go for a school record because she was clearly good enough to do so. But yeah, Coach Price didn't want her to hurt herself. So she did not throw javelin or practice javelin with any frequency until the very, very, very end, right before she's graduating senior year.
And so here are the theoretical numbers. So 33.77 would win conference 7 out of 28 years, 4 out of 10 in the decade. 22 total medals with 7 gold, 6 silver, 9 bronze. And in the decade, 4, 2, and 2 gold, silver, bronze, with an average point scored of 7.3 and a median result of 2nd and a most frequent result of 1st. And so that year at Conference 2018, it seemed to be a thing because there were all sorts of bizarre things that went against us that year. Me hitting the hurdle, me scratching out of javelin, Diana scratching out of javelin, all of the nonsense that happened in the 100-meter dash, Patrick kind of, asking for time right at, not signaling that he wasn't ready for the gun right as they were about to start the race for the 400 hurdles, and them starting anyway. All sorts of shenanigans that happened there. But point being, Diana should have won a gold medal there.
You gotta get the jab to stick, and I guess that's something that comes with not a ton of practice. Is she couldn't quite get it to stick. Now, granted, a week or 2 later, she did, and she broke the school record with a with a distance that would have won a gold medal.
And so, yeah, I mean, I don't remember the exact number. I want to say it was 28, 29 meters is what actually won, and she threw 33, almost 34.
Yeah.
So those are the breaks. But as we wrap up, we look at Diana, some of her additional accomplishments. 47 events competed in, the 8th most in UD, 14 of the 15 best puts of the decade, 2 of the top 14 finishes by UD athletes nationally, tied for 94th and 160th, the 5th best and 11th best in shot put in 2018 and 2017 respectively, and also 2 event wins at SCAC in 2018 and the Pioneer Invitational of 2018. So as we wrap up the team of the decade reveals, any last thoughts on Diana?
Clear, obvious team of the decade throws MVP. Not that that's the thing, I just made it up. Diana, you're a good thrower.
And so as we also close, so next week we'll be doing the speculative, the purely speculative, looking at certain athletes, recognizing athletes who are also very good, kind of wondering, well, if the breaks had gone a little bit differently, how could they have done? And then the final week will be the broad spectrum of the cumulative stats for the team of the decade. But as we wrap up the actual reveals, what has come up that you already knew, and what have you learned from the team of the decade?
What's come up that I already knew? You, Diana, and Prince are very good athletes. The obvious gold medal where you go, oh, they're probably going to score 9 points on average every single year at conference. Like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. But something that I already knew, but it's good to be reassured by it, by doing this project and getting to see all of the names and all the other people considered for each event. Just how strong of athletes we have come through here. Maybe we don't have a track facility, maybe we don't have the biggest weight room in the world, but really impressive group of athletes, really impressive dedication, and all of us really enjoyed it. So I don't know. It's a really fun project. It's really encouraging to see and hear from the people that we've interviewed over the course of this.
All right, so now we go to our 3-time selection for the women's throws team of the decade in shot put, hammer, and javelin. Diana Hassink. Diana, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
So, picked in 3 events for the team of the decade, matching Katie McIntyre for individual events picked. How does it feel to be selected for the team of the decade in shot, hammer, and jav?
It feels really great. It's such a funny thing. I don't know. My original story is I got interested in track from a friend that was on the track team throwing, and I was like, yeah, I'd like to get into throwing, and then just getting really interested in it, and then actually being pretty good at it. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of surreal, and I miss it a lot. So it's nice to think back to all those moments I had, all the wins or losses, in general. So it just brings back a lot of good memories.
Yeah.
Well, you have had a lot of success at UD, especially in shot put. What do you attribute your success in track and field to?
Definitely my throwing coach, because I literally came in with knowing nothing except for the names of the implements. So yeah, Coach Price, and all the hours, because she is a volunteer, so I really appreciate how much time she spent with all of us, and how much she taught me, and how much I loved and grew for the game. Everything is really for that. And then also my teammates, and then obviously the head coach, Coach Barber, for letting me join the team and everything. So I definitely got a lot of help from all the classmates I had that were also throwing at the time. like Paulo, who got me started and like got me interested and said like, you should join the team, or like Tom, and who else helped me? And then Katie, like you said, Katie earlier, she was like another senior during that time, and Marco so helped me a lot, and it was just great, good team experience and bonding, and we all just really tried to help each other out, and yeah, that's everything.
Well, and shout out to Coach Price if she ever sees this. Your couple of years on the team with Coach Price kind of at the helm and you guys captaining was some of the most, obviously some of the most successful throwing years we've ever had at UD, and just the culture was excellent. Coming in to throws practice, you guys was fun.
And so, during your time at UD as a thrower, what do you remember the best? What was the most memorable times there for you?
Memorable times. I think I'll never forget like the one tournament we went to it was really far away. But I remember like throwing really well in all 3 events. Man, it was like up in DC. I think that was my senior year. It was just like, it's the farthest I had thrown in discus. I like won, I think, shot put in that tournament, or like got second place or something. And then I did really well in, I don't even know if hammer was available during that time, but at least those 2 events I remember. Really
yeah.
Huh?
I remember that meet. That was Western Massachusetts. We went home for Grace Conti. It was like her home meet, and
yeah, it was her senior like special basically. And then what other peak moments? Obviously, like winning shot put. That's obviously a very memorable experience. Or even like placing in the top 5 my first year in both shot and hammer. Like that hammer throw, I don't even know where it came from. It was my top throw, like my entire, like it just came out of nowhere, and I got like 4th place throwing that. So I remember that. And I remember everybody like just being super shocked, like, what the heck? Where did that come from? So that was really fun. And then, but yeah, no, I think the most memorable experience is definitely winning 1st place in shot put my senior year. I mean, like winning 2nd place my first season was really awesome. But since like I think her name is Meredith Berger, she was like the number 1 in like our whole entire conference my junior year, but like she graduated because it was her senior year, so then it was like my turn to step up and like really take all of the events. So I really remember that, and like all the girls that were next to me, like just literally massive human beings, like just like height and size, just huge girls, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like got some work I need to cut out for myself to like get first. But I don't know, it was a really cool experience. Like I wanted it so bad after losing javelin, even though I could have totally crushed javelin. I don't know what was wrong with me, but like after that I was like pretty down. But winning shot put kind of just like was icing on the cake after that whole season. So yeah.
Well, you mentioned javelin, and we've numbers that we've talked about. We've talked about this in the reveals. I don't know if you quite know how good your throw in javelin would have actually been. Do you want to take a guess if you put your PR against the history of the SCAC, how many times you would have won?
I can tell you a really depressing story, actually. Basically, so I had never thrown javelin both years, and I knew I could throw it. The only reason why, and Coach Price is really smart, because she was right, was she didn't want me to throw out my shoulder, because javelin's really dangerous, and if you've never thrown before, it can really just screw you up and like ruin the rest of your season. And so I always took her advice, and I never threw javelin. And then I was like, hey, it's my senior year. I want to just throw the heck out of it and see like where it lands. I learned like 2 weeks prior to the NCAA tournament. I was like, okay, Like, I'm just gonna throw it and it'll be fine. And I don't know what was wrong with me. I was throwing and it wouldn't stick, but I was throwing it fine. It never stuck. And I should have just stood and threw it. I shouldn't have ran and thrown it. But anyways, after missing 1, 2, 3, none of them stuck at the NCAA tournament. I was so angry. I was like so mad. I took the javelin, went off to the side and just threw it a bunch of times, like a jillion times. And after everything was done, all the things were counted. I went up to the ref and I was like, please, like, please let me throw it. And can you please measure it? I just want to know how far I can throw the stupid javelin. And he's like, yeah, for sure. And I was like, thank you. And so literally 1, 2 step, chucked it, and they measured it. And the man turns around to me and said, ma'am, that's the winning throw of this whole tournament. And I just immediately started crying and I like ran away. I was like, no, like, are you kidding me? Like, after all of that, after like not even, I don't know, I was just so frustrated. I was like, literally it stuck a bajillion times, but the 3 that I threw did not stick. And I was like, I could have won 2, but it was also a very humbling experience because it doesn't matter. Even if you can throw it really far, if it doesn't stick, it doesn't stick. And, you know, whoever like let it stuck and threw the farthest, like they deserve that medal. I also would have felt like a total jerk because I'd only practiced for 2 weeks, you know, and that person had been practicing their whole career and I still threw farther than them. Like, I would have felt kind of bad. But proceed to the next 2 weeks. I was going to an outside tournament because I had thrown well, right? And there we like, it's, what is it, last chance tournaments, and it was for the shot put. And I don't remember where it was. Coach, do you remember? Colorado?
It was in Colorado. It was outside Golden, Colorado.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we went there and it was for shot put. It wasn't for javelin. It was for shot put because I was trying to reach like the next phase of throwing. Anyways, javelin ended up being my first throw, which was annoying because it was there for shot put, right? And so I throw one, it sticks, it's the PR, and that's it. You know, like that's all that mattered. And then I turn around to Coach Price and she's like, so what do you want to do now? And I was like, I'll just keep throwing. Like, why not? Like, get higher. Like, it's fine. Second throw I throw, break my shoulder, basically. I don't break it, but I like pull something. And it hurt really bad. And I was like really annoyed because I was like, dang it, Coach Price, you knew it. Like, you knew that I was like, it's likely that you're going to get hurt throwing javelin. And then I just couldn't even throw for my shot put very well. I like think the farthest I threw was like 11.5, and that was not even like my PR. So yeah, anyways, just a sad story because it's funny because javelin was so easy to me. It came so naturally and it was just like, you know, it is what it was. I could chuck a stick really far, you know? So it's just funny because like, even if I was good at it, I was glad that I hadn't done it my whole season. I wish I had stuck it during the NCAA tournament, but I was glad that I hadn't screwed up my shoulder during my senior year. So she's smart. Stop while you're ahead.
But do you still want to take a guess on how good your PR actually is comparatively against the SCAC?
No, I don't actually. I just knew it won that year.
Well, this is how good your throw, if you had thrown your PR at SCAC, this is how you would have done. In all the years of the conference, the 28 years the SCAC has existed, your PR of 33.77 would have won 7 times. In the 28 seasons, it would have gotten 7 gold, 6 silvers, and 9 bronze, so medals 22 out of 28 seasons. And in the decade of the 2010s, it would have gotten 8 medals, 4 gold, 2 silver, and 2 bronze.
Wow.
So.
And that was just like 1-2 step. That wasn't even like a full thing. That's funny. That's crazy. No, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I didn't really do that much. I think it's just volleyball, probably, because I am a I was a dual athlete. So just that thing just came naturally.
Well, last question. So, you know, you mentioned the gold medal in shot put, one of your most memorable times. If you could kind of just take us through that season and, everything leading up to the meet that you won the medal in.
I mean, that season there was a lot I was looking forward to. I was hoping to improve my discus. I wasn't necessarily planning on winning it, but I was planning on winning like hammer and shot, and then like maybe trying javelin at the end, right? But I was really focusing on hammer and shot put, and like I kept progressing in shot put, which was really nice and satisfying. Like I did pretty well. Like there's always some kind of mental barriers that come along with throwing, because it's like like it's only you, it's not a team sport. It's mostly like you and the ball, right? Nobody's really around you. It's just like you and your head. So there are definitely plenty of times where I was like doing well, but I was still like in my head and like that was definitely evident whenever it came to throwing hammer. I don't know why. It was like hammer is it was something I really liked and I enjoyed, but it's really technically difficult. So it's not as easy to improve in hammer as it was in shot put, because shot put is linear and hammer is circular. So basically, I don't know, that whole season I worked a lot with Coach Price. I would like do extra practices, like without my team. I would like go to wherever Coach Price was, because she did come to like all of her practices, but like she like lived in Arlington, so I remember going there a couple times with teammates, and I don't know, I was just like really invested because it was my senior year. And I don't know, I remember it was the last game before the last tournament before the SCAC tournament, and it was probably the worst tournament I ever had. So that was like, as I said, like a mental challenge barrier. I was like ready for it, but it ended up being like the worst tournament I ever had. I was like, this is awful. Like, why did I perform so poorly whenever I'm supposed to be like at my peak top game, like right before the SCAC tournament. So I think that last tournament really like clicked a switch in me, and I was like, I just need to start working and working and working. But also, if you're like working so hard, you're also kind of exhausting yourself and getting in your head, you're like, I need to be the best. This is the year. This is my last chance, kind of thing. So I wish I could like look back on myself and be like, why did you sign up for this sport, Dana? Like, you thought it was fun and you loved it. And I need to remind myself that like throughout the season, just like you're doing this because you love it and you really enjoy it. And you do need to take sports seriously, and that's 100% it. But if you're not having fun, you're not playing it right. So I was having a lot of fun. I just like needed that mental check every once in a while. It's like you're getting inside of your head for no reason, and you're doing this because you love it and you're having fun. So sorry, I don't know if that like answered your question, but that was my senior year. It was like a struggle between knowing you're doing really well and that you will do really well, and knowing that you're also you love the sport and you're having fun and not getting inside of your head because of it. Like,
that's elusive for a lot of athletes, balancing, you're obviously doing this for a reason, you love it, but also I want to succeed, and trying not to let the stress, the anxiety of wanting to compete and do well overwhelm the rest of it. That's a classic dilemma.
Very much so. In every sport.
Yeah.
And I know I've told you this before, but I mean, talking about the, trying to have fun at practice and everything. I mean, you were probably the most enthusiastic and energetic teammate that I've ever had in maybe anything. So it definitely was contagious, because it actually made it fun for the rest of us to also go to practice. Like, hey, Diana's here, yay.
More than Tom,
Tom was just weird.
Yeah, Tom Purick, the one who force me to sign up for the sport, basically. But it's good. Sometimes you need a kick in the pants every once in a while. You're like, you're doing this. And you're like, okay. I just need that extra reassurance that I could do it and that it would be fun.
Yeah, I could be mistaken, but wasn't the story something like one day Tom just said, hey, do you want to join track? And you're just like, okay.
Yeah, no, that is the story. I was like, well, first it was Paulo was in my summer class, and he turned around and he said, like, oh, like, are you interested in track? And I was just like, sure. And then he told Tom, because Tom was team captain, and then Tom contacted Barbara. And I was walking down the mall one day, and I was just like having a normal day, and Tom's like, so you're joining the track team. And that was it. And he's like, Barbara's gonna call you, like, or text you in 2 days. And I was like, okay, sure. But yeah, that's basically what happened.
All right, well, thanks a bunch, Diana, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you guys. It was good to see you again. It's been
It was
a
good
while.
to see you too, Diana.
Well, that will do it for the Team of the Decade reveal portion. Again, make sure you catch up with the extra footage over the next couple of weeks. But until then, that is the Team of the Decade that has been announced. And before we go, just quick show you on your screen our selections for the Team of the Decade for throws. Just a reminder, Paulo, Marcos, and myself in shot, disc, hammer, and jab. And then on the other side, all Diana except for Jules and discus. So that'll do it. We'll see you next week. I'm Kevin McGurk along with
Matt.
and we will see you for our speculative segment.